call Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz winning?
Well, I would say the blockade that we hold that doesn't allow anything to come in or out of Iranian ports.
Okay, so we blockaded their blockade. So they blockaded us, and then we blockaded their blockade. That's like saying, tag, you're it.
But yet, haven't gotten there for all of the...
Well, their nuclear facilities have raided. Underground, they're buried, and watching 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming my time.
We're watching
a second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambition. The biggest challenge, the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless, feckless, and defeatist words of congressional Democrats.
Hegseth insists the conflict is not a quagmire, but it's unclear where the discussions are heading. Donald Trump is rejecting Iran's proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for a lift of U.S. blockade and postpone nuclear discussions until a later date.
But since then, thankfully, brave survivors have come forward to set the record straight. So are you saying that these soldiers, our soldiers, who survived this horrific attack are lying?
For the commencement of the conflict, we put in maximum defensive posture. We could.
That's a direct
We moved 70.
What they said.
In this directing, can I speak, or you just got a monologue falsehoods all over the place?
It's not a falsehood.
We moved 7,500 troops off of the X
my
based
time.
on the intel. A false equivalation. Who are you cheering for here? Who are you pulling for?
You can say a lot of things about the strategy, but calling it realistic? And in fact, starting wars in the Middle East that get out of control and lead us to have far greater costs for the benefits is one of the cornerstones of the unrealistic strategy that this administration has criticized over and over and over again.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was testifying before the House Armed Services Committee. Now, the topic of the hearings was to be the upcoming year and fiscal policy, military spending, by the U.S. Department of War. However, questions about the conflict with Iran dominated the proceedings on Capitol Hill. One tough moment involved the issue of the nuclear facilities and Iran's alleged nuclear aspirations, which were the basis of the conflict. Pete Hegseth seemed to speak out of both sides of his mouth and give unclear answers about what Iran's actual capabilities and aspirations were and what had been destroyed by the United States. This is one congressional committee.
So they haven't been yet. Haven't gotten there for all of the...
Well, their nuclear facilities have raided. Underground, they're buried, and watching 24/7. So we know where any nuclear material
reclaiming my time.
We're watching
a second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands.
So Operation Midnight Hammer accomplished nothing of substance. It left us in exactly the same place we were before. So much so
their facilities were bombed and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
Right, let me try again.
Now, the Strait of Hormuz.
Minisitiri w'intambara Pete Hegseth akaba yahuye n'abashinzwe amategeko cyangwa Sena ya Leta Zunze Ubumwe za Amerika bamubaza ku by'intambara muri Iran. Akaba aribwo bwa mbere byari bibaye kuva Donald Trump yashoza intambara kuri Iran. Akaba ari inama yamaze igihe kirekire cyane ndetse no guterana amagambo hagati y'abanyamategeko na Minisitiri w'intambara. Bimwe mu bibazo bamubajije harimo uwamubajije ati misile mwarashe ku ishuri ry'abana murakeka nka Leta Zunze Ubumwe za Amerika ari imisoro y'abantu bangahe byagendeye? Muri make nta mafaranga angahe mwakoresheje kuri iriya operasiyo yo kugira ngo murase abanyeshuri bo muri Garidiyene muri Iran? Undi aramubaza ati iyi ntambara kuva mwayitangira imaze gutwara amafaranga angahe? Ibyo yabazwaga byose yageragezaga kwisobanura, gusa nta na kimwe abanyamategeko bumvaga, ahubwo byavagamo guterana amagambo. Undi aramubaza ati mwatubwiye ko igihe mwateraga Iran bwa mbere mwasenye inganda zayo zikora ibitwaro kirimbuzi ndetse ko mwahasheshe aho ibitwaro byose byari biri, ubu ngubu mwasubiyeyo gukora iki? Pete Hegseth, minisitiri w'intambara, ati twarabishenye byose bijya munsi y'ubutaka. Ati ariko icyo tutasenye ni imyumvire n'imitekerereze yo kongera gukora ibitwaro bya kirimbuzi kuko biracyari mu mutwe yabo. Kuva intambara yo muri Iran yatangira, Leta Zunze Ubumwe za Amerika zikaba zimaze gutakaza amafaranga arenga miliyari 25 z'amadolari y'Amerika. Minisitiri w'intambara undi aramubaza ati se uku gufunga umuhora kwa Iran ubu ntiyatsinze intambara? Minisitiri w'intambara ati barafunze natwe turafunga, ubu rero ndakeka ari twe twatsinze. Umunyamategeko arongera aramubaza ati barafunze natwe turafunga, ubu ni ukuvuga ko babujije amato gutambuka natwe tukabuza gutambuka, ubwo uko niko twatsinze?
Call Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz winning?
Well, I would say the blockade that we hold that doesn't allow anything to come in or out of Iranian ports.
Okay, so we blockaded their blockade. So they blockaded us, and then we blockaded their blockade. That's like saying, tag, you're it. Or, if President Madison had said, well, the British just burned down Washington, but don't worry, we're going to burn it down as well.
Now, the tragic death at the all-girls school in Manab was something that came up, and Pete Hegseth couldn't give clear answers about how much money was spent in the strikes that ultimately took the lives of well over 100 innocent schoolgirls in the early moments of the U.S.-provoked war.
How much did it cost American taxpayers in terms of the strike to the Iranian school where kids were killed? You have that number? In terms of the missiles we used? As I've said, that unfortunate situation remains under investigation. You don't know how much it costs the tax, but
Pete Hegseth barongera baramubaza bati amafaranga byatwaye mukora iriya misiyo yo kurasa abana b'abanyeshuri bo mu mashuri y'incuke muri Iran byatwaye amafaranga angahe? Ati ni ukuvuga misile mwakoresheje ni nk'imisoro y'abaturage ba Amerika, amafaranga mu by'ukuri y'izo misile ni nkangahe? Minisitiri w'intambara Pete Hegseth aravuga ati biriya bintu byabaye by'akaga cyangwa bitari byitezwe, ubu ngubu haracyakorwa amaperereza kugira ngo tumenye icyabaye. Umunyamategeko aramubaza ati nangahe byatwaye angahe? Pete Hegseth aravuga ati ntabwo mbizi. Akaba ari minisitiri w'intambara Pete Hegseth, akaba yari yicaye imbere y'abanyamategeko cyangwa kongere ya Leta Zunze Ubumwe za Amerika asobanura ku by'intambara Amerika, Donald Trump, Israel bagabye kuri. Wakoze kubana nanjye, igitekerezo cyangwa inyunganizi wanyandikira muri comment niba yikanda, like and subscribe. Urakoze, ugire ibihe byiza.